About this time, war broke out in the region. King Amraphel of Babylonia, King Arioch of Elasa, King Kedorlaomer of Elam, and King Tidal of Goyim fought against King Bera of Sodom, King Bashar of Gomorrah, King Shinab of Admah, King Shemaba of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, also called Zoar. The second group of kings joined forces in Siddim Valley, that is, the valley of the Dead Sea. For 12 years they had been subject to the king Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled against him. 1 year later, Kedorlaomer and his allies arrived and defeated the Rephaites at Ashtaroth-Karnaim, the Zuzites at Ham, the Emites at Shaveh-Kithream, and the Horites at Mount Seir, as far as El-Paran at the edge of the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En-Mishpat, now called Kadesh, and conquered all the territory of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, living in Hazon Tamar. Then the rebel kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela prepared for battle in the valley of the Dead Sea. They fought against King Kedorlaomer of Elam, King Tidal of Goyim, King Amraphel of Babylonia, and King Arioch of Elasa, 4 kings against 5. As it happened, the valley of the Dead Sea was filled with pit jars. As the army of the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into the tar pits, while the rest escaped from the mountains. The victorious invaders then plundered Sodom and Gomorrah and headed for home, taking with them all the spoils of war and the wood supplies. They also captured Lot, Abraham's nephew, who lived in Sodom, and carried off everything that he owned. But one of Lot's men escaped and reported everything to Abram the Hebrew, who was living near the oak belonging to Mamre of Amorite. Mamre and his relative Eshcol and Aner were Abraham's allies. When Abraham heard that his nephew Lot had been captured, he mobilized the 318 trained men who had been born into his household. Then he pursued Kedorlaomer's army until he caught up with them at Dan. There he divided his men and attacked during the night. Kedorlaomer's army fled, but Abram chased them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. Abram recovered all the goods that had been taken, and he brought back his nephew Lot with his possessions and all the women and their captives. After Abram returned from his victory over Kedorlaomer and his allies, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley, and Melchizedek, the king of Salem and a priest of the God Most High, brought Abram some bread and wine. Melchizedek blessed Abram with his blessing. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has defeated your enemies for you. Then Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the goods that he had received. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give back my people who they were captured, but you may keep for yourself the goods that you have recovered." Abram replied to the king of Sodom, "I solemnly swear to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread or sandal thong from what belongs to you. Otherwise you might say, I am the one who made Abram rich. I will accept only what my young warriors have already eaten, and I will request that you give a fair share of the goods to my allies, Anar, Eshcol, and Mamre." Some time later, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you, and your reward will be great." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, what good are all your blessings when I don't even have a son? Since you've given me no children, Eliezer of Damascus, a servant in my household, will inherit all my wealth. You have given me no descendants of my own, so one of my servants will be my heir." Then the Lord said to him, "No, The servant will not be your heir, for you will have a son of your own, who will be your heir. Then the Lord took Abram aside and said to him, Look up into the sky and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have. And Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. And the Lord told him, And the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land as your possession. But Abram replied, O sovereign Lord, how can I be sure that I will actually possess it? The Lord told him, Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So Abram presented all these to him and killed them. Then he cut each animal down to the middle and laid the halves side by side. He did not, however, cut the birds in half. Some vultures swooped in to eat the carcasses, but Abram chased them away. As the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a terrifying darkness came down on him. Then the Lord said to Abram, You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land, where they will be oppressed as slaves for 400 years. But I will punish the nations that enslave them, and in the end they will come away with great wealth. As for you, you will die in peace and be buried at a ripe old age. After 4 generations, the descendants will return here to this land, for the sins of the Amorites do not yet warrant their destruction. After the sun went down and darkness fell, Abram saw a smoking firepot and a flaming torch pass between the halves of the carcasses. So the Lord made a covenant between Abram that day and said, I have given this land to your descendants all the way from the border of Egypt to the great Euphrates River. The land now occupies the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Kadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not been able to bear children for him, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, The Lord has prevented me from having children. Go and sleep with my servant. Perhaps I can have children through her. And Abram agreed with Sarai's proposal. So Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram as wife. This happened 10 years after Abram had settled in the land of Canaan. So Abram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress, Sarai, with contempt. Then Sarai said to Abram, This is your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she is pregnant, she treats me with contempt. The Lord will show who is strong, you or me. Abram replied, Look, she is your servant, so deal with her as you see fit. Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness along the road of Shur. The angel said to her, Hagar, Sarai's servant, where have you come from, and what are you doing? I'm running away from my mistress Sarai, she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, Return to your mistress and submit to her authority. Then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. And the angel also said, You are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears. For the Lord has heard your cry of distress. This son of yours will be a wild man, as untamed as a wild donkey. He will raise his fist against everyone, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in open hostility against all his relatives. Thereafter, God used another name to refer to the Lord who has spoken to her. She said, You are the God who sees me. She also said, Have I truly seen the one who sees me? So that well was named El-Roi, which means well of the living moon who sees me. It can still be found between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave Abram a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born.